Hi guys, it's Chris here from Canine Obedience, and today we're going to be talking about the role of the decoy during protection work. Being a decoy is not an easy job. It may look simple, but dependent on the discipline, it can be very taxing, very challenging. The decoy is the person that creates the protection dog, whether it be for personal protection uses, police service, military, or sport work. The decoy is essential to the development of the protection dog. With that said, the decoy also has to have the ability to be able to read the dog. So when we talk about reading the dog, knowing the various drives that the dogs have and when to implement certain techniques to exploit certain drives. Primary drives are like the defense drive and the prey drive. And it can be very challenging when you roll into the world of defense as opposed to the prey drive. The prey drive can be fairly simple. It's game-like for the dog, and so it's not as challenging for the decoy. But once you get into the world of defense, that's a whole nother issue because we're dealing with nerves. And so to really bring out the most from the dog, the decoy has to be fairly skillful, agile, fast, mentally sound as well. Another good attribute of every decoy is versatility. The decoy has to be very versatile. There's no one shoe fits all or one size fits all when concerning training, whether it be for obedience or protection work, especially protection. So the decoy has to know when to, let's say, okay, give up on a particular technique. We've exhausted it, doesn't seem to be happening, and move into something else that may elicit the behavior that we're looking for. Also, the decoy has to be a fairly good actor because what's happening now is we're preparing the dog for the real world. And we're talking about dogs that are going to be engaging people or humans, biting. So we have to act the way a person would act, or not act, would behave when they are actually bitten by a dog. Some people are very loud, lots of screaming, lots of flailing of the hands. Others may not be as such. They may be a little bit more quieter, less movement. So the decoy now has to be comfortable being uncomfortable, come out of their shell, and become a Hollywood star. The decoy is the conductor of the orchestra. Not only is he working with the dog, but he's also coaching the handler at the same time. Dependent on the discipline that we're in, there may be a little bit more handler influence or involvement in the training. And like I said, the decoy during the process is the one that would be conducting or making sure everything is running smoothly. So it may seem easy from the outside looking in, but like I said, there's much to it when it concerns working with dogs and protection training. Remember, when we're doing protection training with the dog, whether it be for sport work or for the real world, we're dealing with nerves. So unlike obedience, it can be very challenging for the dog. So the decoy has to know when to put pressure and how much pressure, or when to turn off pressure in order to maintain the confidence of the animal. With that said, there are times where he may have to be very, let's say, weak in the eyes of the dog, whether it be before the actual bite or during the bite when the fighting is taking place. And so there's lots of things that are going on in the decoy's head as he's doing his training, not to mention making sure that the handler is doing what they have to do on time. Dependent on what we're training for would dictate the way in which the decoy works. For the sport work, the decoy's job is to make sure that the dog strikes well, that he takes a full crushing grip, and that he fights. And with that said, that can be very challenging, especially when we have a dog that may not be carrying much in the way of nerve, or there's some issues with stress. The grip may not be as full. So now it's up to the decoy to create that illusion of a full grip. And so with that said, it can be a little bit more challenging as opposed to, let's say, doing street work, whether it be for personal protection, police service, or military, where really and truly we need for the dog to engage the human, and we may not put as much emphasis on the grip. we would put more emphasis on the engagement, the fight, and having the dog being able to endure stress or adversity. This is very important, especially when we're talking about the street dog, whether it be for personal protection, like I said, police work, or military work, real world circumstances. So we would create situations that would evoke stress. So let's say environmental stress, having the dog work on slippery floors, dark rooms. The decoy has to be able to work on all types of surfaces. He would have to utilize certain weapons and quotations to simulate the real world encounter and still have the dog come out on top. We would have to utilize different times of the day. So it wouldn't always occur at the same time nor in the same location. Unlike the sport dog, where we would probably work them on the sport field, the same location every time, the street dog now, we try to change it up. If it's a personal protection dog, primarily it would be the home the decoy has to work in, the owner's vehicle as well, and we would do some handler attacks, again, in familiar settings and unfamiliar settings. So there's a lot to be said in the way of the creation of the street dog. There's much more that dog has to endure outside of fighting the decoy, things that would distract him from the work. So the decoy's job is to make sure he keeps that dog engaged with him. All right, so we've come to the end of our video on the role of the decoy in protection training. I hope it was informative. I hope it better educated you on the differences between our sport dogs and our real world protection dogs, and the role of the decoy and how it's not as easy as it seems. If there are any other videos or content that you guys would like us to produce, please don't hesitate, let us know. And again, if you love this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. Until then guys, take care.